Conscious Life Expo before? Raise your hand. All right, and that's wonderful. We're really appreciative. How many of you are new to the Conscious Life Expo? All right, so we want to give you a welcome. You are about to, welcome. Come on, let them know how great this conference is. All right? Sweet, sweet, sweet. I'm Joan of Angels, and I work with angels, of course, but I'm here today to introduce Lori Spagna, who is a remarkable medium, intuitive, animal communicator, visionary, teacher, empath, author, luminary, and visionary. And I really don't want to speak much for her, but you're going to have an amazing introduction. I've heard her speaking, very inspiring, and by the time she's done with you, your energy will be fifth dimensional vibrations and above. So, with that, let's give Lori a fantastic welcome.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Okay, so am I you're live on that camera the whole time? I'm good? All right, awesome. So I don't have to worry about my movement because I move a lot. How are you guys? So welcome to today's presentation with me. So this is, just for clarity, sacred energy activations and healing transmissions for Ascension for people and animals. But we're going to talk about Ascension. So we have an hour and a half, is that right? An hour and a half? I have? Yes. So we're going to go for probably like 45, 50 minutes of chat and maybe 40 minutes of meditation with healing. We'll finish off with DNA activation. So, and there's padding in there. So I got to it's a lot. I talk really fast. I got to get my clock out, so I just have this in front of me. Okay, who has ever been in a room with me before when I've done this stuff? Okay, so who's brand new to me? Oh my goodness. Okay. That is very interesting. All right, so let's start off. I just want to get a sense of a little bit more about who you guys are. Who in the room is actively participating consciously and deliberately in the Ascension process? Good. If you're here, you are. If you're here, you are. But it requires a little more active intent than that, but you definitely will be today. Who in the room is actively engaged in animal communication and telepathy of some kind? Passively, sort of attempting? Who's sort of attempting? Okay, good. And who is a healer? Anyone actively engaged as an energy healer of some kind or another? We're all healers. There's no one who's not. Anyone else a psychic? Anyone in the room actively participating? Okay, good. So everybody's this is a pretty evolved group. All right, well, so I'm going to give you, this is what I'm going to do since I have so many people in the room who are brand new to me and my work. I'm going to give you a little of my background. I was going to kind of bypass that, but since so many of you guys don't know me, I'll give you some background on me. Then we'll talk a little bit about Ascension and the shift, what's going on, Ascension updates. We'll do a lot of Q&A. I'm going to do a little less content than I usually do because I have so much stuff on YouTube. Okay, but I want to make sure I start off with this one thing. I'm going to give you some free gifts. Anyone want some free gifts? Yeah. Oh, Gina, are you going to pass around? Gina's going to pass around. Do you need a pen? The sign-up form if you want to be on my newsletter in my community, and I would love for you to give me your name and email address. I don't share it with anyone, but this way you can stay in touch with me. And you'll get lots of free gifts that I'm not going to offer you right now. But these are the free gifts you can get right now. You go to lorispagna.com/free gifts if you want to write it down, and you will get a free class on what is your dormant DNA and how to activate it. It's an MP3 download. You will own it. You'll have a free class on developing your psychic intuitive gifts. You'll get a free class on what is a light worker and what is a starseed, and could I be one too? Anyone in the room identify yourself as a starseed? Who? Awesome. All right, and then you'll get 3 free classes on developing and practicing animal communication, telepathy, and energy healing with your pets and other animals. lorispagna.com/free gifts. All right. Okay, so let's start with, I'm going to give you a little of my background. So here's my thing, my short story, which is never that short, is that I was in corporate America for 20 years out of college. I often refer to myself, for those of you who know me, as a good slave. I was a good slave. Anyone doing a job they don't really love? Anyone? Okay, so you know what that is, right? That's the prostitute archetype. It's an archetypical pattern, so we all have it. If you're working for money and not for God, you're got the prostitute archetype. So that's an archetypical pattern, has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with selling your soul for money. Okay, so we have to clear out our archetypical patterns. We'll talk about that if it comes up naturally. But anyway, I was a good slave working on the prostitute archetype, and after 20 years in corporate America of every day at work saying, I want to be of service to animals on a global scale. How do I be of service to animals on a global scale? I guess what happened was something popped. My brother died of an accidental drug overdose. I started hearing him in my head, getting weird signs and messages from him, and it was like, Law. He called me Law. He'd be like, hey, it's your dead brother Jeff. And I eventually realized he was basically letting me know, like, you have to shift your ways. That was the message. You have to change your ways, or else you're basically heading down the same road I am. And understand, during that time, I was really, after those 20 years, I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day at that time. I was drinking 6 to 8 beers a day at that time. I was pumped up on massive amounts of pharmaceutical drugs from well-meaning doctors, I don't know, mind control doctors in the medical institutions. And I was in and out of doctor's offices. I wasn't very healthy. I was 65 pounds overweight. And what I was doing to make it through life was drinking massive amounts of coffee in the morning and then massive amounts of beer at night and spending. I was a spendaholic, so I had $150,000 in bad credit card debt. This is what happened to me 20 years after college, and all that was pretty normal to the rest of the world. I mean, that's what was going on. So Jeff dies, and he's like, wake up. So I decide, okay, this is, I have my big aha moment, like, this is not what life is about. I quit my job. I think, this is like 2006. This was like, everything was fine. I didn't know about any kind of conspiracies or government cover-ups. I didn't know about Ascension. I really didn't get it. But I just quit my job and figured I know how to take care of myself. I'm a good worker. I'm going to start my own business as a dog trainer. I got recruited by a guy who spent 20 years training dogs for the United States government. And I worked under his tutelage for a year. And I started hearing the dogs telling me, you just have to listen to me, and I'll teach you. So I started listening. I packed up and moved to Maui. I brought my business on the road, and in the 2 years in Maui, which was less than a year after my brother died, or about a year, I lost everything. I lost everything. I lost every penny I had. I lost all the debt. I lost 65 pounds of body weight. I lost all the cigarette smoking. I lost all the caffeine addiction, the nicotine addiction, the alcohol addiction, the addictive patterns. I lost everything. There was a point that I was on the ground sitting outside of the doctor's office. I didn't have any of the pharmaceutical drugs anymore. My body started to re-regulate and naturally heal itself. And I remember at one point I was picking up 7 pennies off the ground saying, thank you, God, for these 7 pennies. That's where I ended up, right? So anyway, in those 2 years, though, not only did I say goodbye to all those things and lose all those things, obviously my inner life transformed because I started doing these healing practices. I started getting into animal telepathy. I was listening to the animals. I was actively engaged in meditation every night. I would sit outside at on my porch on the golf course. I lived in a place called Pukalani. And I'd look up at the sky in the night stars, and I'd meditate on the stars, and I'd see little ET ships. And I, back then, didn't know what the heck was going on, so I'd be like, wow, if I can be of service, let me know. I thought they were here to help us. Yeah. Actually, a lot of them are. But anyway, so I had an abduction experience. That was pretty wild. And in the nights when I was meditating through the nights, I would have all these, information coming into my brain of consciousness, and I didn't understand. Some of it looked like Morse code. I didn't really understand what it meant at the time. And I would go in these meditation circles, and I was practicing with ancient Tibetan and Himalayan people who lived in the Himalayan mountains. Not people. One master who had lived in the Himalayan mountains for years. And I was under his tutelage for a couple of years, and I was learning how to completely still the body, to leave the body. This is what they teach in the ancient Tibetan Book of the Dead, and have either outer body experiences or actually achieve what's called the little death, which I did. Had near-death experiences through processes of meditation. So all this stuff completely transformed me in those 2 years, and needless to say, at the end of the 2 years, it was time to come back home. It was like, okay, you're ready. You're ready for your training is complete. I didn't get it because I was like, what is all this about? These downloads and the abduction experience and just all of the weird stuff. It was just mind-blowing. And I'm alone in Maui. I couldn't explain it to anybody. I couldn't talk to anybody. Nobody understood it. I was living alone. But at the end, I really got the guidance. You're going back, and now you have everything you need. You're ready, and you're going to assist others through what's called Ascension. And that was when I first started to learn about this word. It was still pre-2012. I really didn't get it until that time. There was this word called Ascension, and I was getting downloads, like lots of downloads from consciousness to prepare me. So anyway, that is kind of my history. Since then, I've been teaching animal communication and telepathy. I teach the Akashic Records. Does anyone know what those are in the room? Yeah, some people? Energy healing. I'm a Reiki master. Oh, on and on and on. Psychic development, and mostly Ascension. I do these DNA activations. So that kind of just gives you a little bit about my background in a nutshell, just so you know who you're talking with or getting healing from. But, all right, so let's talk about Ascension. Okay, so let me get a sense from you guys on where everyone is with Ascension. First of all, who was at the Ascension panel today? Oh, good. All right, good. So you guys have got a lot of you got a good sense of Ascension. I want to ask, who does not know what Ascension is in the room? Anyone? All right, so we're going to explain it from there. We'll start from there.
They had a panel, they discussed it.
Yeah, we had an Ascension panel.
Epic.
Thank you. That's good. Who said that? Epic? Ooh. All right, so let's talk about Ascension. So Ascension is the process. Who's heard of the words the shift of consciousness? So it's the process that's going on planet Earth right now. It is real. It's absolutely real. It's not like woo-woo crazy out there stuff. It's the process where all of humanity, including our animals, the plants, the minerals, and even Mother Earth, and in fact, beyond this planet, the entire galaxy, the entire universe that we live in, are going through a process of awakening. And what that means is we're remembering who we truly are. And who are we? Divine beings embodied, right? All aspects of divine source. And you can use the word God, or you can Buddha, or you can Allah, Krishna, Gandhi. Doesn't really matter what word you use, because it's not describable in any one word. It's just this divine, infinite, absolute pure love that is embodied each and every one of us. And we basically went through this experience on planet Earth of separation, duality, where we were unconscious of the fact that we were gods in bodies. And we had this game of separation and unconscious, duality, where I'm not connected to you and you're not connected to her and we're not connected to one another. We're all separate, so we can go around hating each other and killing each other and getting sick and ill and having these horrible, miserable experiences because nothing really matters because we're in separation and we're just miserable here anyway, right? That's kind of like the comedy of it, the comedy of errors. Make sense? But now oneness, Ascension, is bringing us into this awareness that, wait a second, we actually are all connected. And actually, what I think and you think are actually connecting us. And they actually have effects on others. So if I'm thinking hateful thoughts or angry thoughts, and I'm having hateful emotions or resentful emotions or judgment, that's actually going to affect somebody else. And that's going to affect someone else who's affected by them. And in fact, it's going to affect the entire field of consciousness because we're all connected. We're all united in one. This is what we're waking up to. Makes sense, right? So this is Ascension. So the idea of Ascension effectively is, in order to come out of these belief systems where we're all separate and it's okay to kill and hate on each other and to treat each other terribly and to treat our earth with no care and to think that nothing we do has any impact on anyone else. This is the third dimensional reality, right? That's 3-dimension. In other words, separation by height, width, and depth is a dimension. Sound, you can hear my sound, that exists in the 3D reality. You can hear, and light, right? We can see gradients of light and color. That's 3D. So in order to get over here to 5D, where everybody's aligned with this oneness, and we start to realize how truly connected we all are, how truly aligned we all are, that in order for us to have peace and love and happiness and joy, we actually must embody that. We actually must impress that upon the field of consciousness. We actually must take responsibility for creating that and actually aligning with that and anchoring it within us through consciousness. In order to get into this 5D, to get over to this, we have to take that kind of responsibility of knowing you can't just hang out in this 5D reality unless you're aligned with that energy. Is this making sense? Mm-hmm. So you have to align with this energy. I'm saying you, but I mean all of us. We have to align with this energy of absolutely knowing I am choosing the reality I want to live in, which is based on unity consciousness. So in order for me to align in a reality of unity consciousness where all beings are kind and benevolent and peaceful and happy and fulfilled, our animals are loved and treated with kindness and benevolence, where we don't really experience sickness anymore, we don't really experience illness, there's no more war, there's no more fighting, not in this reality. In order for us to get into this reality, we have to leave all that stuff behind. We cannot take it with us. So this is the process of ascension. How do you leave it behind? How do you leave behind when somebody has hurt you so bad and you don't know how to forgive them? How do you leave it behind when you find out that your government is really trying to kill you? How do you leave that behind? How do you leave it behind when you blame yourself because you didn't care for your animal companion well enough, or you didn't know that you were so angry or resentful at somebody who hurt you, or some pain or injustice from your ex-husband or your parents, and you don't know how to forgive them because that pain is still ripping you apart, or you're experiencing health issues because you're holding on to emotional baggage, right, or energetic baggage. I mean, how do you leave it behind? It's not so easy, right? So this is the first really step beyond recognizing, oh, I have a choice. I have a choice to come to 5D, or I can hang out here. I can keep experiencing this reality of separation and duality, or I have a choice to come here, but I'm going to have to leave all this stuff of 3D behind. So this is the process of ascension. This is really what it means. It means I recognize there's a whole other way to live and experience life. And I recognize that in order to live and experience life that way, I have to leave this stuff behind, and I don't even know how to begin. Right? Okay, so first is that awareness. You make a decision and you say, okay, from this point, now that I know that that's what's required, I have to cross through some field of consciousness. And by the way, what's in 4D? What's the field of consciousness between 3D and 5D? Who knows what that is?
Time.
Not time.
Gravity.
No.
Fourth dimension.
Fourth dimension. Okay, so fourth dimension is a non-physical realm. It's non-physical. How do psychics communicate?
Astral?
Astral is part of the 4D. You're right.
Ether.
Ether is a form of energy, right? That's part of 4D. You're right. See, 4D is everything non-physical. So you see, in 3D, people who are fully anchored in 3D, who's a believer in the room?
In what?
In this room, who's a believer? Okay.
I'm looking at it.
All right, who's a knower? See, I'm a knower. But in 3D, you still have some believers. I believe in that woo-woo stuff. Yeah, I believe you can connect with them. 3D believers believe there's something non-physical, but they don't know yet, right? 3D people who are totally in denial or unconscious, they have no idea, they don't believe, right? They're non-believers, they're skeptics. Make sense? Who's ever heard what I say about the skeptics? So skeptics are people who haven't yet experienced anything. In other words, the left brain is the analytical, skeptical brain, and it's skeptical because it doesn't know what the right brain knows. It's trying to figure out what the right brain already knows. Okay, this is what happens in 3D. So in order to get to 5D, you're crossing 4D essentially, not physically, but you're recognizing there's a whole realm in the non-physical world that is real and does exist. That's what 4D is. We're recognizing this non-physical realm. So what hangs out in 4D? Who knows? Yeah, spirits, energy, demonic forces, thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, ideas, concepts, points of view, ideologies, all kinds of stuff. It's all hanging out there. It's just this mishmash. Astral realm. When it goes, travel to, outer body experiences, that's all 4D. So, in other words, people who are beyond believing, they've already experienced some of this stuff. Psychics, how do you think psychics are getting their psychic information? They're tapping into the non-physical realm, they're accessing information there, and they're bringing it into the physical, they're translating it. A good, real psychic knows that's what they're doing. Same thing with animal telepathy. If I'm going to communicate telepathically with another animal, whether they're in the physical room or somewhere else, I'm going into a non-physical realm. I'm accessing information somehow, some way. I'm connecting with that other animal on a non-physical plane. That's 4D. Make sense? So even if people over here don't necessarily know it's real, that doesn't negate it. It's real. Same thing with mediums. You're connecting with some human or animal who's crossed over. I speak with animals and people who have crossed over. Where do you think they're hanging out? They don't live in 4D. This is a very transitory place, 4D. Things come in, they go out. Cross bridges energetically. All right, I think I made that point. So the idea here is, let's come back to 3D and Ascension. You're in 3D, you've gone through these awakening processes, you realize you have emotional baggage or mental baggage. We all have it, right? I mean, who here hasn't had a resentment or a judgment? Anyone here have any kind of illnesses? Physical body health? What's physical body health? What's physical body illness?
Blockages.
What is it?
Blockages.
Blockages, okay, that's a good way to describe it, but what are the blockages?
Fear. Energy.
Yeah, fears, energy. So what you have is fourth dimensional things. Let's say you have the emotion of anger or a resentment or a judgment. That exists in the fourth dimensional realm. But what happens is it's so heavy and dense that that person, whether they know it or not, they've got those thoughts and those feelings and those emotions, whatever, anger, resentment, and it gets trapped energetically. The body becomes a mode of communication. It's saying, hey, you got a problem here. You haven't forgiven, you haven't released this, so it's hanging out. I'm going to communicate with you and tell you what you need to do to clear it. Does this make sense? In other words, what's breast cancer? Just as an example. Nurturing, I haven't been nurtured. I haven't properly been nurtured. I'm angry, I'm resentful, I didn't get the nurturing I want. Right? Or what's diabetes?
Sweetness.
Yes. So I don't have the sweetness of life. I'm not enjoying life. So the body says, I'm going to tell you what you need to do to fix yourself. I'm going to tell you what you need to clear, what blockage you need to clear. Right? The body goes, I'm just going to communicate with you. But then in 3D, we don't know we have power over this. We're unconscious. We're in separation. So we go, I'm sick. I'm a victim. Who feels like a victim? Victim archetype. It's an archetypical pattern of thinking and behaving in the 3D reality. You're not even conscious about it. You're not even conscious about it. You just feel like a victim. Pity or, poor me. Slave driver. Who's a hard worker? Really overworker? A slave driver. All right, so all this stuff is happening in 3D. Make sense, everyone with me? And we think that we're stuck. So we go to our doctor, or we go to our lawyer, or we go to our teacher. I'm the victim. I need someone to help me. I need someone to save me. I need someone to heal me. This is all 3D stuff. But when you realize you want to make the story, right? You want to get into 5D, you have to start saying, okay, I'm not a victim. I'm not a slave. I'm not a slave driver. I liberate myself. I'm going to liberate myself. I'm going to claim sovereignty over this crazy chaos of unconsciousness. I don't know how yet. I don't know how I'm going to forgive these pains. I don't know how I'm going to forgive my mom that she didn't nurture me, or whatever it is that I need to heal or release that's blocking. But I'm going to start to get conscious about this because I know I have to leave this here, this dense, heavy baggage, so I can traverse, shift. Right? Okay, this makes sense, right? So this is my whole diatribe of ascension so far. Same thing for our animals. So understand, we're talking about ascension. You're going to know some of the basic laws of the universe. So laws of the universe, does anyone know what a law of the universe is? Anybody?
Attraction.
Okay, law of attraction, one of the most famous laws. So the thing to understand about laws of the universe is that they can't be broken. They're not like fire, they're not like light, stop signs. They're not like laws that some fake government comes in and tells you have to follow. No, laws of the universe cannot be broken. So the first law of the universe to understand is the law of one. The law of one supersedes every other law. And by the way, the law of one also equals the law of love. It says, one is all there is one, and this one is love. It's a universal law. Now, some people say it in different ways, but it exists. Okay, now, within that, let's say that one, you are the creator, law of creation. The one creates all that is. So in your reality, you're creating your reality, and it's like this is 5D now, by the way. I'm explaining 5D, right? 5D and beyond. You create your reality. You're the creator of your reality. Law of one. You are the one in your reality, creating your reality. Law of creation. Make sense so far? Now, because you're the creator, everything you create is radiating out from you. Law of radiation. This is a universal law, unbreakable. Radiating out from you into your field. You're having a creation of your reality. You're having a creation of your reality, and our realities combine. But in reality, your reality is separate from my reality. We just have agreements that will meet up. Does it make sense so far? So, okay, you radiate out everything from you. It radiates out through the field. I'm going to bring this back to the animals. Circulation, law of circulation, it circulates out through the field. Circulation, right? And then law of attraction, attracts back to you. So let's bring this into very real terms now. Here you are in 3D. You're angry, you're mad, you're upset, you're effing boss, your goddamn mother, you're this, you're that, right? This is just part of what we do in 3D, those freaking Russians, screw Trump, he sucks, all this stuff, right? And we don't know that these thoughts and these emotions are radiating out from us. We're the creator. They're radiating out into the field. They're in the fourth dimensional realm. We don't see them. They're not physical. And what do? They circulate around, they attract back to us. Now we want to know why we don't get along with our effing boss and our mother-in-law that we don't like, and we want to know why our dog is sick or our cat is sick. We don't realize we created it. Because that's what happens in 3Ds. We're victims, and we're tyrants, and we're prostitutes and slaves and slave drivers, and these archetypical patterns that we're playing out, and we don't know we're doing them. Does it make sense? So the thing is, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just getting us conscious about the fact that once we realize our thoughts are radiating out from us, our thoughts are circulating around through the field of consciousness, our thoughts, not just our thoughts, our emotions, our beliefs, attracting back to us, our body's going, oh, wow, that felt tight. Oh, this feels bad. Oh, the body starts locking up, creating blocks, energy blocks. And the body goes, okay, this one has to do, we'll stick with the nurturing thing. This one has to do with she's mad at her mom. Her mom didn't nurture her. So, okay, she's really angry. She's really mad at them. This is what's tightening up right here. She feels like I'm going to use this part of my body to communicate with her brain to let her know she has to forgive her mom because she's mad she didn't get the nurturing. This is how sickness is formed. And this is why what happens when you say, oh, I've got to get conscious because I'm the one circulating it around. I'm the creator. I can change it. Right? It's not about blame. It's about coming out of our unconscious. So understand, same thing with our animals. Our animals are in the I love that this dog is here, by the way, because it keeps reminding me to come back to the animals. Our animals are in our field, right? And by the way, our animals are always playing 1, 2, or 3 roles in our lives, usually 3. Do you know what they are? Anyone?
Mirrors.
Well, they're always mirrors. But you understand, everyone's a mirror. Everyone and everything is a mirror. Donald Trump's a mirror. The inner tyrant. Anyone in here feel like sometimes you're a tyrant? Anyone have a tyrant you report to? We got to clear that tyrant. That's an archetypical pattern. We have to heal our inner tyrant. All right, well, let me not get distracted on that because I could spend an hour. So the animals are sharing our field. They're always a mirror. Everyone's a mirror. Everything's a mirror. When you have to take responsibility, there's not someone out there. They're a mirror of what's going on in here. And just one more diversion before I come back to the animals. Remember, 90% of our brain for the average human is unconscious, right? Yeah. We know that. That's like old news, right? So that means this is happening on an unconscious level. If you're not meditating every day, if you're not awakening your dormant DNA, if you're not activating, clearing your energy centers, then it's happening really unconscious. You're not even aware how angry you are. You're not aware that this thing's tightening up, or this thing's, blocking up, or this is all blocked up, or you can't poop because you won't let go of your past, or you can't pee properly because you're pissed off, or you know what I mean? So the thing with the animals is, because they're in our field, they're playing 1, 2, or 3 roles, usually 3. Number 1, they are our teachers. They teach us. They demonstrate the behaviors in us that are either really desirable and great or really out of alignment. They take on those behaviors. So like really aggressive dogs, for example, are either typically protecting from a fear-based human who feels like they need protection,